a lot there. I'm hoping that it saves this time because this is just taking up my life.
Nothing yet. Try and jump back on. There we go.
It's working.
So upset.
I'm not though. Hi, how are you guys doing? Hello. I'm really bummed, man. That live earlier, I was just like nonstop talking for. Oh, why is it doing this again? Look, we're like blurred in the background.
No, we're good. It's blurred in the background, but we're good.
No, that's what I meant. Okay, that's what I meant. But why is it doing that? But man, I think I was going on for about an hour with that earlier, and I was on a roll. I was just nonstop, and I was like, that would be nice to listen to that again so I know what I said half that time on that rant. And sorry, you guys, it didn't save. I'm sad. That took up my whole morning trying to figure that out. So for those who are joining in, we are doing about the 10 Zoom call distributor TRS talks weekly. I'll try to do more because this is now becoming, it seems like a full-time job. But as of now, we're taking on at least 10. For those chats, that's where we're gonna go over the things like the pay structure and other like marketing tips and stuff like that. But this chat is not gonna be for that. We'll save that for the people that are actually like into it and distributing and wanting that information. This one, we really just want to recap on a few things and kind of for those that are maybe signed on to distribute because you just wanted the discount, but then you might be interested in doing that. We wanted to go over like what's to be expected of you pretty much and showing you that there is this back office because what's happening is people are under the assumption that okay, now that you're advertising for a product or talking about a product that you use that has, a lot of science behind it, that you need to have some kind of like, not so much degree, but you're like, I don't really want to go down that road and have to pour in hours and hours into studying zeolites and clinoptilolite because this one in particular is a clinoptilolite. Look, job. I can finally say it. And we're telling you that that's not the case. You have to understand, though, that if you did want to distribute, there will be a lot of help and information out there for you to access. For instance, many who have already enrolled to distribute don't realize that with your username, okay, you can type in your username .cosivatrs.com and this will pop, all right? Ooh. So this pops up if you do that. This is just included with that. So it's your name.cosivatrs.com. And this has a lot of information on it. A lot of FAQs that you can link people to directly. There's a blog here where they're going to be putting up some of those clinical trials really soon. And the science of TRS, all of that. So just to show you that you would only have to give off this link, and then you let the people that you're, explaining it to, read through and check it out and see if this is something that they would like to use for themselves and their family. As with everything that we discuss here on this platform, you need to make an informed decision for you and your family. That is totally for the person to go ahead and do. Then you have to decide what kind of distributor you would want to be. Are you just, because there's so many options here, right? There's so many options. You can enroll to distribute and not distribute anything and just be labeled inactive and still get a discount on the product if it's just something you want to use. They don't have an enrollment fee and they don't require you to sell anything. So there's that option. If you don't want to enroll or distribute at all, you can do the auto ship option, which gets you the discounted fee. It's mostly direct sales if you do want to distribute. The company, 75% of the sales are retail. It's not like most MLMs, the only MLM aspect that it has is how their pay structure. So that's the stuff that we don't mind breaking down in like the Zoom calls, but you're not required to sell anything and there's no enrollment fee. So what kind of distributor do you want to be? Do you want to be are you just an influencer and you talk about a lot of different products that you like and you're like, look, this is a product that works for me. I use it for this, this, and this reason. And here's a link, and that's all you want to do. That's perfectly okay. The good news is that you'll have a link where if people want more information, they can source it, or they can contact support@cosiva.com or call them directly. Will you save this? Yeah, I tell people that I'll save these things, and it's not up to me though, because sometimes Instagram doesn't give me the option to save it when these are over.
So what are we doing this time around?
So right now we have
cameras going,
like another camera up top. But see, even there, you guys, I have to upload that to a computer, and then I've got to like process that and get it going on YouTube, and it is time consuming. So I'm trying, and I don't expect everyone to just be available to log into a live, but yeah, so our point here is that you would have those options. You're not going to feel like, wow, I'm just ill-equipped, I don't have this information. At the end of the day, it is a product that you're not forcing onto anyone. If they decide they want to use it, then awesome. Then here's how it can help. And here's groups online with all of these testimonials. And here's the worst I'm hearing when it comes to side effects. People sometimes report back that like, I'm feeling kind of weird a few weeks into a detox. Well, yeah, that's to be expected in a detox. There's a lot of videos online where people talk about all types of detoxes and what their bodies go through, and you can use that. You can direct them to those things as well. With TRS, because it is mostly through people who are distributing, we can't really vouch for the online forums that people have created, because some distributors are really chill and are like, yeah, cool, invite whoever you want. And some distributors are like, you can only view this stuff if you've enrolled under us. So we don't have, unfortunately, any say in that matter. But our group online, where people put their testimonials and any gains, any side effects, is just Safe Heavy Metal Detox TRS on Facebook. And there's about 600 people in that one already now that are sharing, and they're kind of new to it. So it's a good one to follow for just keeping up with how everyone's doing on the detox. We have to remember though, we have to be really patient with ourselves, because it's taken so many years for our bodies to accumulate all of this. So we can't really expect results overnight. Although within a few days, people are already experiencing drastic changes. And so it's going to just be different for every single person involved. So you'd have to definitely figure out, am I the kind of person that wants to get heavily into this and become, almost like getting a degree at this point in clinoptilolites? Or do I just want to tell people how it's working for me, which the personal testimonies are the best kind, and then giving them a link and then letting them decide for themselves. You can do that too. And so going into
one thing I wanted to address really quick is that Tully had mentioned that we'll be going over the compensation plan in Zoom meetings. That'll definitely be in the future. I talked with corporate earlier today, and then I have another call back with them later this afternoon to set up our time. Hopefully midweek this week. I'm shooting for maybe Wednesday. So that way I can get the best breakdowns for the compensation plan to try and relate, or so everybody can relate to it. And then at that point, we'll make sure everything's put together so we have a better presentation for the Zoom meetings to come in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to go over the whole nano thing?
Okay, so
people?
had this asked quite a few times now. A lot of people have a negative association with the word nanotechnology, which is understandable. Anything made can be used for good or bad, or just about everything. There's a lot of good things that go with nanotechnology, and there's a lot of bad. Now, with Cosiva's TRS, the particles are nano-sized, and essentially the technology that they use to create those nanoparticles is the reason why they say it's nanotechnology. So they're not putting little bots into the spray bottle that you're gonna spray in your mouth, and now you have these little nanobots that are running around in your body. That's not the case. Essentially, they wanted these particles.
Wait, but are you sure? But are you sure?
I'm unsure that sandwich I made earlier doesn't have nanobots in it. So,
yeah, depending on what was sprayed on it, with all of the ingredients we used.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know that our lettuce from is good.
Our lettuce here that we grow here was fine.
Delicious.
Well, who knows what they're spraying on the rest of our produce?
Yeah. So yeah, we wanted to address that, and the reason why they wanted it to be that nanoparticle was so they could essentially suspend it in water, so it can access the whole body. So the technology used to make the particles nano-sized, nanotechnology, nothing else added, no other robot ingredients, just to put that out there, because I'm sure that question or that topic will be brought up.
Well, and people who don't understand how zeolite works to begin with, you can have all of these questions. The point is like knowing from these two ingredients, which is pure water and clinoptilolite, what that is, and once you figure out, okay, I'm comfortable with that, and that it's out of my body within the 5 to 7 hours. At the end of the day, you guys, dealing with this when it comes to distributing, if you don't know the answer to something, you can just send them over to Cosiva, is what I'm telling a lot of people. If you don't know, then you don't know, and just be honest and be like, go ahead and check out Cosiva, support@cosiva.com, or you can call Scott and Julian that are there with their, they've got like a 888 for Cosiva.
Yeah.
And they can answer that for you.
And that comes up to, use your resources at hand. You can do your researches, make sure you use good sources. You can also use the Facebook group if you're in there. You can ask around your upline as well. And then, of course, if you need the answer immediately, then yeah, like Talia said, support at Cosiva, or just give them a call.
Yeah, get your bot spray, charm the wolves. So when it comes to using the zeolite for a detox, the things that I like to tell people to further look into is, number one, heavy metal toxicity can affect just about everything in your system, from your eyesight, from what's happening in your mouth, from just everything with your immune system. It could affect everything. So this is why every single person is going to detox differently, and why I recommend not making anybody any promises, but you can certainly share off testimonials and what it's doing for you, because you don't know what that person's eating. You don't know the diet they were on, and we've discussed this multiple times, but it's pretty much a water-soluble zeolite, which is scientifically proven to systematically cleanse the body. That's why they use that. And I just believe that a lot of what people are going through, it's really just speaking for itself at this point. But the clinoptilolite zeolite is a molecular sieve, which possesses a cage-like structure, and it has a natural negative charge. So it's good because it's actually binding up toxins and completely pulling them from the body. In the time we're living in the environment we're in, there's over 80,000 environmental toxins that have been released into just our atmosphere alone. And so we're seeing that the average person comes into contact with hundreds of chemicals on a daily basis. Bioaccumulation of toxins is causing a lot of issues for people, and people who've had their lives stripped from them, it's due to toxic exposure. So we already know these things. There's so many things that you can do in terms of detoxing. There's foods you can eat as well. This is just something that we've enjoyed doing, and we're noticing a lot of people are getting awesome results. But many people are left with conditions that they don't know how to find solutions for. So you're talking such a vast array of things that could have been affected. Just in radiation alone, so you have radioactive isotopes that attack the body, okay? That is going to include things like from visible lights, X-rays, radio waves, and microwaves, right? Being at the TSA when you're in the airport, going through those X-ray machines. Cesium goes after cardiovascular tissue, and it likes going after bone tissue as well. So many people don't realize this, but during the whole Fukushima thing in Japan, the primary mechanism that was used to clean up the radioactive disasters was clinoptilolite, which is the water-soluble zeolite, which is the ingredient in TRS. It's used to clean up the radioactive fallout. Not only is it great for cleaning, but it's also cleaning the isotopes that are in your own body. So this could be food that you're eating or due to just demographics when it comes to radiation, but this is just one topic, which is radiation alone. So using day-to-day passive detoxifiers that are something like a TRS would help pull them from your body, and that would be really important to do. You can go over many toxins that this water-soluble zeolite is able to pull from your body. Obviously, the major toxins are in the heavy metals. Common heavy metals are aluminum, lead, arsenic, nickel, mercury, cadmium. These could have come from things like, whether you were exposed to a lot of lead as a child, things handed down from the mother. Also, dental fillings were exposed to this often. You can passively, and the other thing, the big thing, right? You can passively pull heavy metals from the body and do this effectively and safely while using zeolite, while using clinoptilolite, zeolite. There's many forms of zeolite. You have like the powders and all of that. And when you see the articles that are written on these powders and how they are not helping people, well,
no, they still help people. But the two main differences are, one, the zeolites that people are pulling from the natural environment, they're already contaminated with heavy metals, because that's the job of the zeolite, is to go ahead and start trapping those heavy metals. Now, they'll try and wash those zeolites with heavy acids to try and reduce some of the heavy metals, and they'll get some of them out, but then also damages the cage structure. Second thing is that the advanced TRS is nano-sized in particle versus the bigger particle found in nature. So those natural zeolites, particles are big, they won't be able to go throughout the whole body, they essentially get stuck in your upper digestive tract, whereas advanced TRS, nano-size, and I believe it is suspended in a water molecule, will be able to traverse the whole body. And the next big thing too that I wanted to mention was that when the zeolite traps, the TRS, advanced TRS, when it traps and binds these heavy metals, it neutralizes them on the way out too. So there's no extra harm when these heavy metals are being passed through your system. There's a lot of detoxes out there that will help with, trapping some of these heavy metals, but they don't essentially neutralize them on the way out. So it's essentially limiting the amount of stress and damage that your body is already enduring, especially when it's trying to get rid of these as well.
Right. And so when they say that it's okay to tell this to people, that in pre-testing and post-testing, they're finding that the water-soluble zeolite is effective at grabbing these heavy metals, and then it pulls them out of the body. The challenges with other detoxes is that they're not pulling them from the brain. The water-soluble zeolite, it's actually passing, and it can cross through the blood-brain barrier and binds up these toxins to safely pull them out. I've had already at this point 2 moms in less than a month who have messaged me privately freaking out, saying that their toddlers got a hold of their TRS bottle and drank half of it. And sometimes they'll message me with this stuff, and by the time I read it, it's like been hours. And then I message them back with, how's your kid? And they're like, they're okay. I'm like, okay. It's not something that they can overdose on, but obviously I'm like, okay, well, keep them really hydrated and just monitor them. The bottle does say to keep out of reach of children. Like with anything that you don't want your kids to get a hand on, I understand that accidents happen, but as of today, they're still fine. They just... Maybe it was, I think one mom was like, it's kind of my fault. I told my kid that it was just water in there so that I could spray it in their mouth. So they probably just thought it was water, but maybe put stuff up in places where you don't want your kids like reaching. But, Adam, who we had on last week, he's downing like 1/4 of a bottle a night just to see if he's getting any crazy results or things that are, and nothing is
just wild dreams
happening besides dreams. The vivid dream thing. And with all this stuff we're talking about, you're like, oh my gosh, that is, how do I repeat that back if I'm trying to be a distributor? Look, I got something awesome to show you, okay? In your back office of Cosiva, let me pull this up, okay? It's under the marketing, right?
Yeah,
okay, here, let me pull this. So in your Cosiva back office, you have these options here, right? And this one says marketing. There's a library center, so you can click on that. And under your library center, why is this? Okay. Under your library center is a lot of information, you guys, besides the payout stuff, which I'm not going to go over in a live. That's going to be kind of boring. But all of this information here with like the white paper information, sorry, this is freezing on me, your product guide. And so when you open that stuff up, you know, you'll have a lot of info here too that you can send to people, because at the end, you know, I think for me personally, I think the best approach really is to say, hey, here's what I have on it and we're using it, blah, 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 whatever, however it's working for you. And then be like, here's more info if you want. And look at all of this information on just one of those links, okay? I mean, you're not going to have the time to go over this with every single person. And if the person is also trying to be a distributor as well under you, they're going to know and understand that the more time they spend getting to know a product, then obviously the better the results will be if it's something that they... But look at all of this information here. And then where they're sourcing. At the very end, sorry if it's a bit blurry, but what are these? These are all the... Now it's in summary, right? How they've come to these, how they get to the conclusion. And this though is up to that person to do the research on their own, right?
These are all the studies.
These are all the studies connected to it. And then you have at the very end, I believe, all the references and what, but guys, it's so much information. So when I do the, oh my gosh, with this, it's because look at this. I'm still not done scrolling, and that's just on one link. So you have all of that. You have all of this here at your fingertips. Isn't that amazing? And that Cosiva site that we're showing you here, where you'd put your username .cosivatrs.com, that's where you can, there's a blog section on there, and then that's where they continue to update more information for you to just have more resources. It's a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, I guess I just feel like it should be as if you're going with any other kind of product or supplement that you're just offering or talking about. Should go without saying that you might have different results, right? You might experience different results. A popular one that people ask about is Lyme, because there's a lot of people who are struggling with Lyme disease. And the water-soluble zeolite is very effective at bringing up these Lyme biofilms. And the, how would you say that when you have Lyme? It's spirochetes. It's spirochetes. That's the primary issue that come out of Lyme. It allows for passive remediation and the removal of this toxin. And then this way, people who are on another Lyme protocol are able to kill off the Lyme, and they're actually able to follow the protocol without having the Herxheimer reaction, which I wanted to also talk about. Can you look up Herxheimer reaction on here so that I can discuss that quickly, because that can help alleviate what a lot of you distributors are going through. Oh wait, this thing needs to re-record here. Okay, and so anyways, if they're on Lyme and they're taking another protocol along with TRS, then they'll be able to get well much faster. People with Lyme have to take a higher dose of the clinoptilolite and in order to get the results they're looking for, but it's very effective when it comes to people who are struggling with that. Glyphosate is another big deal that the water-soluble zeolite can help pull. It's a major neurotoxin, and it's highly prevalent in today's society, as you guys have seen with all the posts. It seems like it's just about in everything. It's in our water. It's in acid and several salts. It's in our farms, our fields. It's in the food supply. If you're exposed to glyphosate, you can get it through your skin. You can get it through your eyes, through just breathing it in, and then touching plants that are still wet with spray, whatever they've been sprayed with. That's how you can get this as well. Signs that you've had glyphosate exposure would be irritation in your nose and throat. I feel like that's every day lately. Swallowing product with glyphosate, you will get the obvious signs of exposure and just how you're feeling. And clinoptilolite is a really great way to bind up these toxins and pull them from your body. So that alone, let's say you've never even been vaccinated, that's a big deal that it can pull from that. So you got a lot of things that it touches on. It's going to be pulling from heavy metals, which we went over, all the list of heavy metals. And in just the heavy metal fields alone, there is so much toxicity that comes with that and what it's doing to your body that's just like, it would take an eternity to get into. But it also helps with people who've experienced radiation. If you've got radiation like on a daily, this is why we're also getting, when it comes to the toxin thing, I'm getting people who are sending me, first of all, I have photos of just about everything in my inbox right now, from people's eye colors and their eyes changing. Like, I was born with blue eyes. They eventually became grayish. I'm on TRS. They're now becoming blue again. You know, I had brown eyes for so long, and now they're getting green.
I had 9 fingers, now I have 10. The list goes on and on.
But besides that, the poop, like there's
oh my gosh!
All sorts of pictures of poop throughout my phone,
I don't
and
even go in there.
It's because of parasites that are coming out of people's bodies. We understand that parasites are coating themselves in heavy metals, and that's why if you're no longer feeding these parasites, they have nowhere else to go. They come out, and they come out through your poop. Except there was one girl who it came out of her.
Did you say elephant? What?
What did I say?
I can't read lips.
Yeah, and she was like in the tub. She was taking a bath, and there was, okay. But I don't have to get into that right now. That would be another whole long discussion of why or how that could have possibly happened. But you're seeing all kinds of things that the body is like, get this out. Just get this out, whatever's been stuck. Yes, meet the Shermans. Yes. So you're having a lot of, you know, besides like the vivid dreams and all the other things that people are noticing, to stay on the heavy metal toxin portion of it would just take you all day. Many of us who used aluminum sprays before, it doesn't matter if you haven't used it in years. I have a lot of photos also of women who are sending me pictures of their armpits because they're like, look, my deodorant's been all natural, just, you know, some people aren't even wearing deodorant anymore and it's been years, and all of a sudden they're getting that rash underneath their armpits. It's because of whatever they used to be using is now kind of coming through their skin. Within a few days, I follow up with them and I say, how are you doing now? And they're like, oh yeah, the rash is gone. So that's to be expected. Let people know before signing up, if you want to, as a distributor, and you want to do a little bit of your due diligence in prepping people for a heavy metal detox, you can let them know that your liver is going to be on overdrive while you're doing this. Your liver has 400 different functions. So going into a detox like this is going to cause it to be working harder. And that's why you're seeing things like acne rashes that will come out, and there might be like a week's worth of that, and then it clears up. After a while, it gets better. But you can show them just sources again. You don't want to ever just be like, oh, do this, because then they might rely on that to work fully, and then it doesn't, and they're going to come after you. But you can show them things that can help with liver support. You can say, look, there's bone broth, milk thistle, which we're taking. There's a lot of things that can help with liver support when you're going through this. Obviously, staying super hydrated really helps. And so we've gone over, besides glyphosate, radiation, Lyme biofilms, the heavy metals. There's, it's just, I just feel like it's never ending. Then also endotoxins. So just like with heavy metals, water-soluble zeolite is going to bind up the endotoxins from spores like black mold toxicity, and it can help remove those from the body. Many people who've been exposed to black mold, they struggle for a really long time, and many of them don't even know where their struggles are coming from, how they started when it comes to their health, because how do you know? There have been places that, like my sister used to live in a place in San Francisco, and she was there for several years. Oh my gosh. And years into living there, find out that literally the walls have been lined with mold. And the landlord like didn't even care because it was
the bathroom out that one day for all that stuff.
Yeah, but at that point, what did the cleaning matter when you saw everything else around there? Who knows what that could have done to somebody's health? And that's just mold like in your home. But using clinoptilolite, it's a great way to passively pull these endotoxins, the black mold spores, from your body. And it helps your brain function right, and your entire body is going to be able to function correctly and how it was supposed to function. So going back now to, I know, sorry, I'm really hoping that this saves, because then you can take all the notes that you need to take.
Don't forget the Herxheimer, because these right here are very common from what people are getting.
Okay, so if you're having people that first of all, if somebody is coming back to you with how they're feeling within a week or two, that's to be expected. That's very normal. At all the reactions that they could list, from that they have a bit of a cold, from even that they've got a slight fever, from headaches, nausea, that they're getting, those kind of things that happens when you're detoxing. Have them be a little bit specific.
It's like cold or flu symptoms, essentially. And some people come back saying, "Oh, I have these flu-like symptoms. Can you be more specific?" Because
you want to be able to help them, and at least if you can't help them, then you direct them to the right place. And so a Herxheimer reaction, it's spelled HERXHEIMER. It's side effects of effective treatment or cleansing. It's a normal reaction that the body has when toxins from dead pathogens are being dumped into the bloodstream faster than the body can comfortably handle. And so the common symptoms of Herxheimer reaction would include nausea, headache, fatigue, joint pain, muscle pain, cold sweats, fever, and the chills. So you have to keep that in mind. Herxheimer reactions are not necessarily a bad thing. They are a good indication that the body is healing and the toxins are being eliminated. At this point, when people are telling me after like 3 days of being on it that they have a headache, they don't feel good, the reaction that you would have is, okay, so it's working, and without being insensitive to it. Like, that sucks to go through that, but you also have to anticipate these things when you're detoxing. And I have an aunt who wants to start detoxing, and she's interested in TRS, and I'm telling her not to take it because she's still currently smoking cigarettes. So I'm also like, look, I don't need the money that badly. I would rather this work for you, and it's not going to work for you if you are not willing to give up the crap around you in your life. So if you have a family member that's interested and you know that they smoke, will they see results on this? I mean, stuff will be pulled, but why would you do that? And or if you've got a friend, and then they drink soda at every chance they have when they're out and about. It's like, do you really want to go through a detox? And you would think that the people that already know their reaction, their diets and their choices are not the best, would know what to expect from something like this. But we also have to consider that. So that would be a lot of information on the Herxheimer reaction here. I do believe that I posted more, and I always post on that Safe Heavy Metal Detox page as well for Instagram. But here's some things that you want to prep people for as well. If you want to jot these notes down, and then I'll try to remember to save this on the Instagram later in some downtime that we have when the kids are back. But okay, if you want to help people going through Herxheimer reaction, make sure you're drinking plenty of water, at least half your body weight in ounces. That's a big one. Rest and get as much sleep as possible. Do not push yourself too hard. Taking baths is good. Put in 1 cup sea salt, 1 cup, the Epsom salt baths that people like to do. You can add essential oils if you want to, things like lavender. I heard adding bergamot to the bath is good. That helps balance the mind and the nervous system if you want to get really detailed with it. Like spending time in nature, if they can go out and ground a little bit, that's going to help while they're detoxing. Getting lymphatic drainage, they have places that will do those massages. People who go to just the chiropractor and are getting adjusted weekly, they experience Herxheimer reaction because the toxins that's why they say after you get an adjustment, you need to be drinking a lot of water. You got to flush out what's happening in your system. So doing body work, like mild stretching, just very gentle yoga type stretching can help for people that are going through this, because you also don't want to tell them to stop. If the reactions they're having are worse than the heavy metal toxicity and what that was doing to their body, then by all means they can stop taking it, they can slow down taking it. But a lot of times you kind of in a nice way want to ask them to power through if it's something that they can put up with for just a little bit longer, you know? And if you're feeling too tired to exercise in that way that you're accustomed to, then you should cut down your workout intensity. But remember, it's just for a short period of time. We're noticing that a lot of these reactions really they're not forever, so don't worry, but it feels like forever. You know, when you're sick, 3 days of being sick feels like weeks, so we understand. But eating and drinking very clean, you know, organic fruits and vegetables, and just understand that the pesticides that are on a lot of our produce are going to make the liver and organ elimination, they're just going to make that have to work much harder. So avoiding alcohol during this time as much as possible. The less work that the liver has to do, then the happier it's going to be. So so the alcohol thing's a big one. I know a lot of people, like in the beginning, I'll admit too, I was like, oh, 1 glass of wine can't hurt. And while it didn't hurt, it just was kind of pointless to be doing both, like detoxing and, you know. Promo codes. So there's 2 ways to get the discounted code. We have to pay for the bottle. We just get the discounted code. The 2 ways are either enrolling as a distributor, where there's no enrollment fee, there's no there's no requirement to sell, and you get the 1 bottle for $68 instead of $95, or the best deal, which is the 3 bottles for $50 instead of, or 3 bottles for $150 instead of 3 bottles for $170. Mm-hmm. And that would come with enrolling as a distributor, or if you enroll under auto ship. And if you do an auto ship, then you're considered a preferred customer. You get the discounted price. If not, and you just want the retail to try it, then it is $95 for the bottle and $170 for 3 bottles. So, which is still a really good deal. 1 bottle is up to 150 sprays. So if you're like me, only doing 2 to 3 sprays a day, because it's 1 spray for every 30 pounds. My bottle could last me close to 2 months. Jeff is doing 5 sprays now, so he has a bottle that lasts him 1 month. And why distributing is awesome is because if it's something that you're just linking out and sending to people, and if they were to purchase, then you can get that obviously credited so that you can get more bottles for yourself. I was going to only do it for a few months, but due to just everything else that's around us right now, I'm going to eventually stop the 2 to 3 sprays a day, because I feel like I've really, really cleaned out my system. It's been pretty awesome. And I'm also pumping, so it's not affecting my milk. I will likely, though, once a year, do at least a 2-month detox. I just think that everybody needs to, for just the sake of what's kind of around us. And I'll still probably do 1 or 2 sprays a week, because 1 spray can do a lot. It can really do a lot. You can't, yes, you do get reimbursed as a distributor. Those things we go over. I don't want to do the breakdown on a live. That's going to be so boring. But we take that topic on in the Zoom calls when we deal with distributors, because it's the way that they break it down is just
yes, you get paid.
Is the answer. Just the breakdown though is like, you do get paid. It's just like, okay, you know, it was one of those things. That's how, even when I looked into that, I was like, oh, all right, well, whatever. I'll just let what happens. But anyway, so I just want to talk about how this product is helping with us and with our family, and obviously with countless other people that are out there. So what was the other topic we were going to hit up for the distributors?
The comp plan is going to be one of the biggest ones to the back end office.
Yeah. So you guys, your back end office has so much information. This is the product guide too that you can find when you enroll to distribute. The product guide here that just goes over pretty much everything we discussed. Okay, so there, all of the, you can do up to 5 sprays a day, and just all the toxicity around us. Why is this not focusing? I'm not happy with this. So yeah, there you go. Big thing of FAQs, you know? And so a lot of people, this is literally like the label on it, right? So it's got the 2 ingredients, and that's it. Like, that's it. So if you are ordering a distributor, know that it's coming from their lab. But if you're ordering from Amazon, I've had a couple people message me like, oh, I found a bottle on Amazon for like $5 cheaper. So I ordered that, but you know, a couple people, their bottles never came in. They're like, can I have the number to Cosiva to complain? And I'm like, you can't complain to Cosiva because you ordered it from Amazon. Amazon, it would be possibly other distributors that are just trying to get rid of bottles. So you would have to understand that if you're ordering from Amazon, it's with everything. It's like if you're ordering oils from Amazon and you're like, I don't have to order my oils from the doTERRA site or Young Living site. I can find them on Amazon. Well, then when you're returning or if you have any issues, you have to deal with Amazon. You can't go and deal with Young Living or doTERRA. So if you purchased a bottle and you want to distribute and you're like, how do I now distribute? Well, that's pretty easy. You can just call Cosiva, 844-4-COSIVA, or you can write them, support@cosiva.com, and they can adjust that for you. They'll just be able to fix that for you on the back end. So that's pretty cool too. And I just feel like we had a million things to cover.
Honestly, the frequently asked questions section is amazing. You're going to get asked these questions a lot. I am on my phone a lot. I have it with me all the time. So it's easy for me to just have this already set in a separate folder.
Yeah.
And that way when somebody asks, if they don't want to read the link that we sent them or click the frequently asked questions, I already have it right there. So I can easily just copy and paste that thing. I feel like that's 40% of my job is copy paste.
But that's okay.
And that's
okay
totally
because
fine,
it's such a big deal topic. And I mean, you know, guys, I'm always advocating for people to do the research and not just take anybody's word for it and go and look into it themselves. So I love that people are doing that and they're seeing things, they have like a million questions, and that's awesome. It's just that realize that that as with every kind of supplement out there, the effects are going to be different on everyone. Okay, it's going to be different. What works for me with like the moringa supplements I take when it came to producing more milk, people might have not experienced the same results, and that's okay. You know, I mean, we're just all completely different. So you might not have had the same reactions I had. I also did my placenta pills, so it's like I took that in the beginning, and that could also have a lot to do with surplus. But then there's always 1 or 2 women that'll come on and be like, I took my placenta and I didn't have a lot of milk. And it's like, yeah, but there was a lot of other things that were involved in me getting a lot of milk, like the booby boot camp I put myself through, which was every 3 to 4 hours, whether the baby was awake or not, I was on a pump. You know, I had Jeff, who we discussed this together, and he agreed that he would be up with Enzo so that I could do this, which is how I have 4,000 ounces of milk stashed in a freezer. And so there were a lot of elements to that. There was the Milky Mama all natural moringa supplements I love to take, my placenta in the beginning, which helped also with postpartum, and I didn't go through any of that. And then that I was very strict with my pumping schedule. So that those are like, that's what worked for me. It's with everything. And it just, there, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I really wish that I had started TRS before Enzo, like before everything went down, just because I wouldn't be so strapped to the coffee and to the energy drinks. You know, that could have saved my liver probably a lot more back in the day.
Yeah, but it shouldn't make you, you know, there. So then that's where I want to get to with the next thing. Hold on, this thing needs to now re-record just in case that this doesn't save. So I want to then get into really quick some facts versus fiction stuff that Chris had sent over our way, which was really, really kind of him to do. But there's a big question people also have when it comes to the aluminum, okay? So the silicone building block on a zeolite, if you want to take notes, you can. If not, I will try to put this up on YouTube. The silicone building block in zeolite is electrically neutral, but aluminum building blocks will carry negative charges, which creates charge sites throughout the entire crystal structure. Are you following? Because even then I was like, oh, what is this? So the aluminum is not absorbed by the body under any circumstance. Once again, a zeolite from nature is the ash from, it's literally like volcanic ash mixed with salt of the ocean creates these minerals called zeolites. And in nature, when an animal eats something that might have been poisonous, or, you know, they go towards zeolites and they eat those so that it forces them to get the poison out of their system. That just happens naturally in nature. So aluminum is not absorbed by the body under any circumstance. It would take 900 degrees Fahrenheit to break that cage anyways. So once it traps the toxins, the only way out is through when you poop or pee. And so anyway, it's not a free roaming particle. The silicon aluminum is a structure, which is a crystal. And there seems to be a really big disconnect for some people where they simply shut down their thinking because that word aluminum will surface. You cannot compare aluminum adjuvants in vaccines to aluminum, which is a naturally occurring but not only non-toxic when it's bound to silica in its natural state, like a zeolite. Pharma has isolated aluminum from silica and created aluminum salts, which are biologically active enough to cause a potent, sustained immune response in the body for the purpose of vaccines. I don't know if I need to repeat that, but the fact that this simple chemistry and crystallography is not known to many is the reason that they're so afraid of it. People are always afraid of things that they don't know, and that's okay. The point is to face those fears, and once you're informed on something, you can then make an informed decision for your family and for yourself. But why it does this is because aluminum salts are no longer inert. And in fact, the immune system correctly identifies that the aluminum is a threat to the body. It is a threat because it is toxic. If it wasn't toxic, it wouldn't be as useful as an immune system stimulant / adjuvant in vaccines. So as you can see, a zeolite and its aluminosilicate structure is not the same. Okay, it's not the same as the aluminum salt in a vaccine. All zeolites are by definition aluminosilicates, which means their chemical makeup is aluminum, silica, and oxygen.
Yes.
Do you hear him?
Yep.
Oh, I hear Enzo. So, see, we got to go be parents. Jeff will maybe be back, maybe not. Maybe leave me here with this empty seat. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, let me finish up on this like whole aluminum thing here. So, this is not free aluminum. Okay, it's an inert part of the structure of the zeolite, and the structure is almost impossible to break. Like I mentioned, 900 degrees Fahrenheit in order to break it. Zeolites can withstand extremely high temperatures, and they are not dissolved by the stomach or gastric acids. A zeolite is also not water soluble or fat soluble. The problem with vaccines is you're injecting the adjuvants. Anything and everything ingested is subject to gastrointestinal tract before it's absorbed into the bloodstream and ends up in other vital organs and tissues. So the GI tract is an excellent barrier when it's healthy, and the Agency for Toxic Substance and Disease Registry, which is the ATSDR, states that only 0.1 to 0.4% of aluminum is ingested actually gets absorbed. I'm always having this discussion that it's 0.1 to 0.4% of aluminum is absorbed when you are ingesting, meaning via the mouth. But when you're injecting, 100% of that aluminum is absorbed by the body. I love woke mama bear. Hence volcano. Yes. Hence volcanic ash and lava. It's okay. I don't mind explaining. I'll explain these things a million times over, just, if it's helping people, okay? So therefore, 99.9% of aluminum is not absorbed when ingested through breast milk or food. When people are like, oh, there's aluminum in breast milk, and you guys, there's aluminum in pears. Okay, the minute somebody tells me to inject a pear into my bloodstream, let's go into that then, and we'll start worrying about aluminum in pears. All right, but the two are very, very different, but they're banking on you to not know the difference so that it helps them in the long run, okay? But last I checked, we're not injecting aluminum we're not injecting pears into our system. But I love the argument, though. I love when people bring up the pears, because it's not the same, but it's fun. It's fun to just listen to them, with all those things that you're like, okay, we're also not injecting breast milk into babies, Okay, so let me continue with this. But yeah, the aluminum is not absorbed when ingested through breast milk or food, and it's eliminated and removed from the body before it ever reaches the bloodstream, okay? So in contrast, of course, most vaccines are injected. If you didn't know, they're injected. The contents of an injected vaccine are not subject to the gastrointestinal tract. Aluminum, along with other ingredients, are injected intramuscularly, boom, right? In order to intentionally bypass barriers of the body, which is your skin, your mucous membranes, etc., which exist in order to help prevent absorption. Blood flows to and from our muscles, and so the contents of a vaccine can enter the bloodstream rapidly. That's why they need to inject it. That's why they're not giving you the formaldehyde and polysorbate 80 in a cup and saying, okay, down this, there's live virus in there too, have fun. Therefore, absorption of aluminum via vaccine is 100%. All right? So there's the difference in the two. There's a difference in the two. If they are still skeptic after that, guess what? They can take a urine test if they want. They can do a hair test. Unfortunately, I don't think their insurance will cover that. They might have to pay out of pocket to get that done on their own, which they are welcome to do. They're welcome to do. You have a lot of people that are like, they're not trusting of it. They're like, what? A spray? Okay. And then they take the hair test, they do the urine thing. You take that first, then you take the TRS, and then you see if the levels went down. That kind of means that it's working. There's that. Guess what? Guess what else there's an option of? Not doing it at all. You can not do this at all, and that's okay too. So isn't that great? It's great that we have these options. And so then also, when it comes to the fact versus fiction, that Mike Adams report, the health ranger who does the Natural News, which I admire this person's work. He had an article out about 5 years ago where he tested several zeolites and they came back contaminated with lead and other toxins. He was testing zeolite in the powdered form. He lists what he tested. TRS was not one of the things he tested, okay? But he did test several zeolites and companies that offer this that came back contaminated. And he was referring to, and he says this in his report, powder-based zeolites, okay? Zeolites are naturally occurring in the earth, and over time they accumulate toxins as they should because they're nature's detoxifier. So these zeolites are mined from the earth and then they are sold. And this is why powder zeolites are so incredibly cheap. When people are like, oh, you could do a powder zeolite for an eighth of the price. Well, yes, you can do that. And no one's stopping you from doing that. You can do that. People were still getting great results from it. Even after this Mike Adams report came out to blast the powdered zeolites, if you read a lot of those comments, you'll see people who are like, yeah, I know you're saying it had all this extra stuff in it, but I had this going on with my system, this, and this, and then I took it and I felt blah, 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 blah. Not saying that you should do it. I'm just saying that you should read what people were saying anyways, okay? And there's so many sellers online who are almost too willing to crush up raw zeolite and then just pass it off to you, which is why it's a good thing that he did this article. People are like, what do you say to this article? Doesn't it affect you? And no, it doesn't. A lot of us are really happy that Mike called them out on this practice so that people just know what to expect. Raw zeolite is really cheap. And it's very easy for people to start companies where they can sell batches of it. When you dissolve those kind of unclean zeolites, you're going to find high levels of lead, arsenic, and other metals. But TRS is made in the lab. It's not mined, so it is free from all of the contamination. Once again, if somebody pulls up that article to you, because it's a very popular article, it had like 60,000 shares, so expect to get it. Expect that somebody will send that to you. And that's okay. You can say, this is an awesome article. We're so glad that Mike called them out on that practice. But for zeolite to trap toxins in the body, it must first be cleaned of its existing heavy metals and or made in a lab like how TRS is in order to avoid all of the contamination. Like I showed you in your back office under library, under marketing and then library, you have fun, but you have like 170 different studies that you can go through that talk about the clinoptilolites. So the best part of the TRS is that there's zero dissociation in the body and 100% of it leaves in under 7 hours along with the toxins that it has trapped. So once again, it is completely inert, does not react or release things back into the body in any way. And that is your fact versus fiction on the TRS. That's at least a good starting point for this. Had an issue recently, and the thing is that I was honest when I said that, look, I'm kind of to the point where I personally just have this like zero tolerance policy for people who want to just spread misinformation to spread it, to try to sabotage something that they literally don't know anything about. Everything that we've gone over with just zeolites alone, you would have had to spend months and months and months. And I'm still every day looking into just learning more about how all of that works to begin with, not even having anything to do with the TRS. But the fact is that this is something that is helping tons of people. And I'm saying helping, and sorry, that's the only word I can come up with. I don't know of another word. What are the other synonyms for helping? Bettering, right? We're like, what can we not say? But it's helping a lot of people, particularly the vaccine injured people, particularly the military, and it's helping them in their recovery. So people continuously say all the time that we can't just talk about these issues anymore, that we have to do something about it. We're going to need solutions. And I'm telling you that we have found personally a good solution in this product for us and for our family and for people that we're close to, which is why I have no problem talking about it and sharing that. It might not be the same for you. Like I said, with everything and every supplement, and if you see what it takes, like if you literally went out and found a bunch of raw zeolite in the earth and you wanted to crush that up and sell off a supplement, go see like how easy that is for you to now just have a supplement that you can bottle up and sell, and just the kind of proper labeling that you would need. Yes, the FDA is making things a little bit harder to do for people, but when it comes to putting out a supplement right now, there's literally thousands and thousands of products that are able to talk about what it might help with, and then if it works for you, then great. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. So all you can do on your end is do your due diligence, do your own research, look up testimonials, look up all the testimonials, look up the worst that can happen if you take this, and look up the best that could possibly happen if you take this. But really at this point, I'm like, there's no way for me to share about or talk about anything. When you guys are asking me about everything we're doing, I could talk to you about all of it, and you're not going to experience the same thing. I could talk to you about the CBD that we use and how it helps us. It's not going to be the same for you. I could it's not. And I'm like torn because I'm like, I don't want people coming back to me for this kind of stuff. I could tell you that I use echinacea for whatever reasons, and if it might not work for you. I want to talk to you guys about how we're growing our own freaking lettuce here, kale, bok choy, but then I'm like, gosh, should I share that? Should I talk about that? Because people might buy that and then not have the same results and then lose their snaps on me. So I don't know. But we can really spend forever talking about the FDA. I'm hoping that oh, look who's awake. Look who's awake again. But I'm hoping that helped. And if you still want to be a part of Zoom calls, just email us at ireadinserts@gmail.com, and we can then help you guys who want more of this info, and we'll just happily get that over to you all, right? You want to say bye?